Our next speaker is Cheryl Phillips, longtime journalist. Cheryl Phillips teaches data journalism and investigative reporting at Stanford University and founded Big Local News, a data sharing platform and collaborative that supports local journalism. Thank you, Cheryl. The floor is yours.
Hi there. It's great to be here. So I founded Big Local News, which I'm sure is going to pop up on the screen. And it is basically a way to collect data and disseminate it and provide training and resources for local newsrooms. I did that when I came to Stanford in 2014 with the idea, and then we launched the platform the first week of the pandemic in 2020. What it does is it shares data, it brings in local data sets, aggregates them together, processes them, makes them easy to analyze for local stories. We do story recipes. We try to find regional, national, sometimes even international patterns, and we try to help turn this data around to make it really easy for the local journalists to tell the story so that they don't have to do the same heavy lift. We've done a lot of story recipes and webinars where we'll collect data, go state by state, sometimes to the UN, lots of different places, and then we literally go step by step for how can you analyze this data and find the story in your community. As a result of that, we've also provided tools. During COVID, we did a COVID case mapper that basically made it possible to embed a visualization for your own local community about the impacts of COVID. Data is integral to this whole system. Without being able to use data to drive stories, then we're just doing anecdotal reporting and it lacks the same amount of power. So everything is data, though, especially today. So it's text, it's audio, it's images, it's video, it's meeting minutes, everything. And so to be able to accurately and adequately use all of these resources and use them to level up stories, we need an infrastructure. And there's a lot of organizations you run, and if we can work together to build an infrastructure that will build out a system, a scaffolding, then we can really help provide support systems that will mean really powerful local journalism. We use a matrix at Big Local News called DART, Data, Algorithm, Reporting Recipes, and Training. And the idea is it creates a virtuous cycle so that if you have 0 data experts in your very tiny newsroom, you don't want the stream of data, but we can give you a reporting recipe and training. And if you have a lot of newsrooms, you can provide the data and you're going to see more impact for your story. These are a few of the story recipes that we've turned around that kind of helps folks learn how to use data for their communities. And this has ranged, again, from local to national. This is an example right here of the overdose crisis in the US and a project that we did with the New York Times Investigative Reporting Fellowship and the Baltimore Banner. It started by noting how high the overdose rate is in Baltimore, and then we followed up with a story that took a look at this cohort effect of older black men dying at much higher rates in particular cities, industrial cities and port cities. So in Chicago, the death rate is much higher. In DC, it's growing almost as fast as in Chicago. All of these findings, what happened was we were able to partner with these local newsrooms. So we did the big national story, we did the local Baltimore story, and then we partnered with 9 other local newsrooms to tell these stories, creating policy change at the local level. And along the way, we won a Pulitzer Prize. So that's not a bad outcome. But for me, the biggest outcome is that things have changed in Baltimore with how they manage dealing with these overdoses. Things are changing in Chicago, and the reason they're changing is because there was local stories done out of that work. So in San Francisco is a port city, and it is one of the other types of cities that is affected by this one cohort of older black men born from 1951 to 1970. In Chicago, the overdose rate has increased exponentially in the last 5 years. It has grown even higher and faster than Baltimore's. And then in Washington, D.C., the interesting thing about this story, their rate also is growing very fast, but the newsroom is the 51st. It's basically part-time journalists running their own nonprofit, and there's like 4 of them. And they couldn't have done this story without us providing the data resources and the data findings and the graphics and being there as a support system. We were able to level up their work, and I'm so grateful that we could. They knew their community, they knew their story, but all they needed was a little extra data support and resources. So we had an agreement where we weren't going to tell them what story to write. They were going to go find their own story. We were going to provide them data, fact-checking, graphics, and collaborative support. And I think that that is a good example of how this DART matrix works. It becomes a virtuous cycle, where we're supporting the small newsrooms to do the work that they know needs to be done for their community, and the big newsrooms get the benefit of seeing the impact grow for the work that they're investing and the data that they're investing. So that's Big Local News. Thanks very much.